is up, by the time you realize he's also talking about you, Shannon, it's too late.
I didn't want to get with a white woman because I was scared she might have me running down the street like Jonathan Majors.
Come on, Dad.
Not because I didn't like white women. I think white women are as great as any other women. But I'm not going to act like I'm not scared of them. I have a reason to be scared. You could be Kang the Conqueror, and they could take your rabbit ass down in 2 weekends. Well, they went around the world for 2 years straight telling any women that would listen that this was a good-looking Since when? When did y'all start liking a big nose? And when did y'all like a little head and a big jaw? When? Since when? That look like my daddy. When you start liking my daddy? You like black people's features like that? If this ugly is good looking.
That's 3 fingers down. Is he pointing to Shannon right there?
And all is good looking. Anytime you see them telling you something you can't believe, just understand it's a play. Get out of here.
He told me, and my guy Jordan is over there. He said, now they're gonna come for you. I said, can't come for me for what? I didn't say anything.
Right.
He said they're gonna come, and they're gonna say a lot of different things, and they're gonna be some people that you thought you might be able to get that they're not gonna come now.
Shannon Sharpe just made it clear. Katt Williams is not getting another invite to Club Shay Shay or any event he's hosting. And if you're wondering what really happened, it's all because of that podcast that set Hollywood's downfall in motion. Ever since that interview with Katt Williams aired, things have been moving real funny in Shannon's world. If you watch the full thing, you already know Katt came through with some serious allegations.
And here's the other thing. Everything that Money Mike said, Katt Williams wrote. So what Ricky Smiley say on his? You can't say my lines, I wrote them. That's how I already know that I'm gonna be funnier than you. What he told everybody was, Katt Williams, don't nobody know who he is. I'm on the radio. I'm with Steven Said. Everybody know me. That's what he told everybody that would listen to on the set. That's the truth of the matter. He was so egregious, not now, then. He was so egregious that, and Hollywood has never heard this in 100 years. He was so egregious, I put in my contract that I won't work with Ricky Smiley again unless he's in a dress. Now, what was Ricky Smiley's next movie? Was it First Sunday? Did he wear a dress in it? You bet he did. It's in my contract.
We're talking about some of the biggest names in the game, secret groups, powerful circles, and even some wild connections that people have been speculating on for years. Now, here's the part that got people really thinking. Katt actually warned Shannon before the interview even dropped. He straight up told him that once this goes live, it was going to launch him into another dimension and that they would come for him. And the they are allegedly the power players, the folks really running the industry. These are the same guys Katt called out on Club Shay Shay, and now it looks like they're making moves.
I didn't know it was gonna cause this kind of ripple. I didn't think it was gonna move me in the direction. I'm glad it did. I understand what comes along with that. But if you remember, he said it. He said this is gonna put you in another dimension.
He definitely did.
He said,
but my mama said, boy, there's power in the tongue.
Yes. He told me, and my guy Jordan is over there. He said, now they're gonna come for you. I said, can't come for me for what? I didn't say anything.
Right.
He said they're gonna come, and they're gonna say a lot of different things, and they're gonna be some people that you thought you might be able to get that they're not gonna come now.
Right.
And that's absolutely has happened. That's absolutely has happened. They were so excited. Thanks for reaching out. We can't wait to sit down. And a day later, they can't do it, and then no call, they won't follow, so for the song.
And of course, they're not happy. Shannon himself admitted he knew there might be some backlash, but even he didn't expect this kind of pressure. One of Katt's biggest warnings, they were going to try to shut down his platform, and now it looks like that's already happening. See, Katt predicted that some of the same celebrities who were lined up to be guests on Club Shay Shay would suddenly be too busy to show up. And guess what? That's exactly what's happening. Shannon recently confirmed that big name guests who had already agreed to be on the show have started backing out at the last minute. All of a sudden, schedules are packed, conflicts are popping up, and people are going ghost.
I didn't know it was gonna cause this kind of ripple. I didn't think it was gonna move me in the direction. I'm glad it did. I understand what comes along with that lie. But if you remember, he said it. He said, this is gonna put you in another dimension.
He definitely did.
Now, because all this is getting real loud, Shannon had to address it. He sat down with Cam Newton on 4th and 1 and finally spoke on the industry trying to allegedly blacklist him. And Cam, being the straight shooter he is, asked the question, how does Shannon stay neutral when his guests come on the show and start airing out other celebrities? Shannon kept it a buck. He said it's not his job to fact check everything his guests say. He just lets them talk. If they have something to get off their chest, that's on them.
And look at those same podcasts when they don't mention Shannon Sharpe.
Right.
And then you'll understand why they're mentioning Shannon Sharpe.
Right. I could dig it. And at the end of the day, what you do is what you do.
Yes.
I think that has nothing to do with it.
But I mean, you would think by now somebody would have outed Shannon Sharpe if he was living that lifestyle. Somebody would have outed.
Yeah. I think really, too, as we keep everything moving forward as well as positive. When I asked this question of how do you remain neutral between the guest telling the story and or the person they're telling the story about, how do you find credibility in that?
Cam, what I try to do is that some guests I know more about than others. Mm-hmm. But what I've prided myself on doing is not listening to any other interviews that guest may or may not have had, because I don't want it to cloud my judgment about what to think about said individual. So if you notice my interviews, they normally go about 2 hours or longer because I don't interrupt. I'm having a conversation. You and I having a conversation, you're not gonna cut me off, I'm not gonna cut you off.
Right.
And so I just let the guests talk. I'm assuming, like when I had Katt on. I had Ricky Smiley on at first, and we was talking about the Friday situation. Ricky said he was originally supposed to play Money Mike. I didn't know that. I didn't know if anybody, so I'm thinking, I'm getting some information ain't nobody else knows.
It's new news.
Yes, so I'm like, oh man, Ricky said he was originally supposed to be Money Mike instead of the thieving Santa Claus. So I felt good. A couple of days later, Katt says that's a lie. And so I'm like, what? Why is he upset? I mean, it's not like he said that Katt did a bad job as Money Mike. I didn't realize in what Katt later came on to refute, it said that wasn't the case. Mm-hmm. So they were like, when Katt said, you let him lie, I said, Katt, I'm assuming, I wasn't on the set. I'm assuming that what he's saying is true because he was there. I've got no reason to believe that he or she is coming on the show lying.
Correct.
So for me, it's like, I've told people, I'm not 60 Minutes. I'm not Dateline. I'm not 48 Hours. I'm not one of these investigative journalists that I'm trying to get to the root. There's a whistleblower that says that somebody has secrets in their basement or something. That's not what I am, Cam. I'm having a conversation. Me and a guest are having a conversation. I said, is there anything that you don't want to talk about? I always ask the guest that. Sometimes they say, well, I would appreciate if we not talk about this.
Right.
Cool, no problem. Because I believe you can tell your story without saying something negative. But yes, I believe a person that's been in a business, that's been doing something 10, 15, 20, 30 years are more than one salacious story.
Right.
That's what I believe. So if they say they want to stay away from it, but if they want to tell something, who am I to say, no, don't do, you can't tell that.
Right.
People are, Cam, so we know why they upset.
But social media detectives wasted no time pulling up receipts, and what they found had folks side-eyeing Shannon heavy. Turns out, in a past interview with Amanda Seales, a comedian and actress known for speaking her mind, Shannon wasn't nearly as laid back. Instead of letting her talk uninterrupted, he actually pushed back on some of her statements and even threw in his own opinions.
Just because you see things differently, it doesn't mean that you're on the spectrum or you...
This isn't related to simply how I see things. This is related to how my brain functions.
Yes. But just because your brain functions differently from, say, mine.
Yes.
So you feel just because your brain functions differently that's what caused it, or there's a clinical diagnosis that
There are clinical diagnoses.
for you.
Yes, there are clinical diagnoses for autism, yes. So when I was at Disney,
Yes.
and I was in the situation at Disney, I was there as the only black girl.
Okay.
And so I was called an N-word right there while I was there. And I was also there because I was told that you're only here because you're black. Does that suffice as or would you want to call it something else? Is that just kids being mean?
Yeah, the kids. So let me ask you a question. As a child, you never said anything derogatory? You was just this model citizen as a child?
And that's where things got messy. People started saying he let Katt run wild with all kinds of allegations without pushing back. But when it was Amanda's turn, he was suddenly in interrogation mode. That's got people feeling like there's a clear double standard at play. And now some are saying Shannon was complicit in spreading messy narratives instead of keeping things neutral.
I want credibility. I want people to be able to share their story without me interrupting. I think sometimes people in our position that do what you and I do, they want to hear their voice instead of the guest. Well, I can go home and hear myself talk if I wanted to, if that's what I wanted to hear. I think for the most part that people tune in to watch my pod because they want to hear what the guests have to say. I let the guests speak. People say, well, you push back on Amanda Seales. And all I said was, Amanda, did you think being a child, correcting a teacher in front of the students, could it have been something else other than racism? That's all. And people lost it. Well, you didn't push back. I asked Monique. Monique said Oprah asked her to interview for a role, to go read for a role. She went and read for the role. Oprah ended up getting the role. I said, Mo, did you ever think they were looking for a heavyset black woman? And it wasn't because the industry was against you.
Right.
She said, my brother, I didn't think about it like that. But see, they don't mention that.
Right.
Because that wouldn't, I've got to try to do something to try to quell this momentum that Shannon, this wave that Shannon is riding. So any way I can try to undercut him or to make him look like I'm not a journalist. I never told anybody I was a journalist. I said I'm a conversationalist. But what people are upset about is that for some reason people come to me and I don't look at them with judgy eyes. I have no predetermined notion or preconceived notions, and they open up to me.
Right.
That's what they're upset about. Because if you look at a lot of these people that's been on other podcasts, they don't do the views that they do when they come on Club Shay Shay.
At this point, it's clear that Club Shay Shay is feeling the heat. Shannon admitted he knew the Katt Williams interview would be a big deal, but even he wasn't ready for the firestorm that followed. Shannon has had plenty of controversial guests before. Steve Harvey, Coach Prime, even some athletes who had their fair share of scandals. And those interviews did make headlines, got some jokes thrown around, but nothing close to this level of backlash. What really threw him off was how people he considered cool, folks he's helped behind the scenes, were the same ones throwing him under the bus.
I understand what comes along with an interview like that. Did I expect it? No. Did I expect all the negativity that came along? Because, you know, I had Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey did 8 million views. Had Coach Prime, had, you know, I've had a lot of comedians. Right. And some of the comedians had taken shots at other comedians, but nothing like this. I didn't expect the vitriol to come, especially from some of the people, and I'm not gonna say we were friends, but I'm saying we were cordial, we were friendly towards each other. Some people that I've kind of helped behind the scenes, and to see them attack, oh, I wouldn't have let him do this, I wouldn't have said that. But you know what? It took me a long time, Cam. Because when you play sports, you understand that Atlanta fans, even though you're from Atlanta, they're gonna have a little resentment towards you because you beating their team. Right. Or you know, certain fan bases are gonna feel a certain type of way. And I felt that the better the player, the more vitriol and hate he's gonna get from opposing fans. I got that. But in this situation, I can honestly say I did not expect the level of vitriol and the suddenness. That's what really got me, the suddenness, because it was like when Cam dropped.
But here's where things take a turn. Shannon now believes the Katt Williams interview opened the door for something much bigger. According to sources close to him, he thinks certain people in the industry are trying to tear him down by attacking his masculinity. The rumor mill has been going crazy with speculation about Shannon being on the down low. And let's be real, while being gay isn't some crime, in black culture, that's often used as a way to strip a man of his power and credibility. Shannon Shannon believes this isn't random, it's intentional. He feels like some folks in the industry are actively working against him, trying to mess with his image, and more importantly, slow down the momentum of Club Shay Shay. Because let's keep it a buck, his show has been pulling crazy numbers, and not everybody's happy about that. And here's where it gets tricky for Shannon. He says if he responds, it just adds fuel to the fire. But if he stays quiet, people start thinking there's something to hide. Either way, he feels boxed in. He even admitted that the way social media works today makes it way worse than anything he faced as a player.
All of a sudden, he gay now.
Yeah. Too.
Right.
So when you do see, oh, Unc Zesty, or, you know, stepping outside of, you know, I don't know now, and we don't never see him post no woman, he just got all these damn dogs. Red flag. From the horse's mouth himself, it's like, how do you respond?
I'm in a no-win situation. Because if I respond, they say hit dog holler. If I don't respond, they say, well, if it wasn't true, he would say something. So if I respond, I'm a hit dog. If I don't respond, he's hiding something. So how do I win? I win, hey, they're gonna say with the, that's the thing that I didn't realize that when I really got into this. There's this celebrity, this kind of fame here, Cam, is on a different level. I mean, I was a damn good football player. I won Super Bowls, I'm in the Hall of Fame, but this is 20 times the magnification of what I was as an athlete.
So my question is it because of the power of social media, or is it the evolution of you?
It's a combination of both, and that's why I don't let people play with my name. Everybody knows there's nothing wrong with being gay. There's not. I'm just not gay. And most straight men don't let you play with their name like that.
Especially not in our culture.
No. But see, also, in our culture, if I want to try to emasculate you or try, what do I say? I say he's gay. Because no matter what you think, that's still, in our culture, that's still kind of frowned upon. And people, you know, they'll say all these things, well, you know, it's okay. And I don't have a problem with it. I have people that work for me that's their life. That's their life. That's not my life. I don't judge. What you do in your home, what you go to bed with, who you wake up as, that ain't got nothing to do with Shannon Sharpe.
Right.
That ain't my bed. Is that was the hardest thing, because it was almost like they were trying to convince me that I was something that I'm not.
But here's the thing, Shannon's not the only one feeling the impact of Katt's words. That Club Shay Shay interview has some people real uncomfortable, and while some of the names Katt mentioned have stayed quiet, others are not letting it slide. Case in point, Steve Harvey. At first, it looked like he was going to brush it off. He dropped a few cryptic messages on social media, talking about taking the high road.
Oh no, you ain't gotta tell nobody nothing. All you gotta do is be it. You ain't gotta say, you don't have to open your mouth. You don't have to do it, man. He prepares a table in the presence of mine enemies. He do it all the time. All my haters, I ain't gotta say nothing to them. They got TV. They can cut their TV on 7 days a week. All that hating, he on there. Oh man, I don't even worry about it. You know, I've learned how to handle haters, man. And the only reason you have haters is because you're effective. You have haters for two reasons. You're doing something that they're jealous of, or God is preparing to take you somewhere and the devil is providing opposition. Those are the reasons you have haters. God is about to do something and the devil has to throw opposition. Those are the two reasons you have haters. I got plenty of haters. When I get them, man, I always look and see what God finna do.
Eventually, Steve had enough and decided to speak on it. On his radio show, he called Katt a liar, saying he mixes just enough truth into his stories to make them sound believable.
If that's what I wanted to hear, I think for the most part that people tune in to watch my pod because they want to hear what the guests have to say. I let the guests speak. People say, well, you push back on Amanda Seales. And all I said was, Amanda, did you think being a child, correcting a teacher in front of the students, could it have been something else other than racism? That's all.
Then you got D.L. Hewley, who wasted no time coming for Shannon Sharpe. He allegedly called him Wendy Williams with a weight set, basically saying he's out here stirring things up like Wendy, just with muscles. Shannon wasn't having it though. He clapped back, saying he's not the one spreading anything. He just lets his guests talk and keeps it moving.
It's almost like Wendy Williams didn't go anywhere. She just got a weight set.
He said, nah, I'm the new Wendy Williams with a weight set. I'm like, bro, Why you mad at me?
He called you the what?
He said I was Wendy Williams with a weight set. So in other words, he's saying,
Oh, that's funny though, huh?
oh, okay,
That's a good one.
you gotta laugh at that
That's a
one.
good one. I like that.
But check this out. I ain't doing no gossiping.
Right.
They say what they say, I'm done with it.
Right.
I ain't going back and forth. Ooh, tell me more, Monique. Tell me more. Or tell me more, Katt. Tell me more. He said what he said.
And then Dave Chappelle stepped in. Now, Katt didn't even come at Chappelle on Club Shay Shay, but Dave still made sure to throw his 2 cents in. He called Katt out for supposedly only going after black comedians, saying he never talks about the white ones. Then he hit him with hurt people, making it real clear what he thinks is going on. Chappelle even brought up his own struggles, saying he lost everything but never told on anybody. Now, that part had folks wondering, was that shade or was Dave just speaking his truth?
He only eats the He didn't say anything about any of these white boys. And none of these white boys function like that. And Katt is one of the best painters in the game. Stop. And Katt hurt people, but I'm a hurt person that never hurt people. And he does it all the time. This one and that one and this one. But anything that you did wrong, he didn't do nothing wrong, I'm gonna bring a black guy. Katt did this to me. Katt was talking about that he did to other but not about anything that he did to him. If I told my story, it would break your heart. I lost everything and never, ever told on anybody.
So what started as a convo about industry secrets has now turned into a full-blown Hollywood showdown. And this is why Shannon says he is never going to invite Katt ever again, because he made things hard for him, and trust the internet has had a lot to say. One user said, love Shannon and his show. He will survive and rise above all of this because of his winning personality, interview style, and huge fan base. A lot of jealousy and haters are out there. Some people, especially in high places, do not want certain truths exposed. I wish Shannon and his show continued success. Carry on and keep shining, Shannon. But who exactly are these gatekeepers? Are we talking about the power players behind the scenes who control the entertainment industry? Because if that's the case, it's no wonder Katt's interview hit the way it did. Looks like even the public knows who really pulls the strings. One thing's for sure, this situation is far from over. But what do y'all think? Will Shannon be able to put this fire out, or is this just the beginning? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you're new here.